when you go back and look at how we develop policies as liberals, this whole issue around sewage treatment may seem kind of unromantic. You know, I don't know why. Maybe it's the name, maybe it's the concept. But, you know, when you actually go back in time, it was liberal reformers at the time of the Industrial Revolution who pointed out that the biggest advances that we make in public health are when we apply science to what's going on and begin to address the issues that are affecting the public. And we do so in a way that is unafraid of ideological opposition or institutional opposition from one side or the other. We do it on a basis that's based on the facts, based on assessing the facts, what makes sense, what works, and then seeing how we can drive things forward. We've had remarkable success as a party in doing that and in avoiding the ideological extremes of the right and the left, of people who are wedded to particular theories or abstract ideas because that's what they think needs to be expressed. Now, I'm told that the NDP candidate is equally uncomfortable with some of those theories, and they even say that their leader is equally uncomfortable with those theories. But that's all very well. The simple fact of the matter is this is a riding which, if you look at who lives in this riding, you look at the makeup of this constituency, it's a perfect riding for us. It's a riding we should be able to draw people back. Many years the NDP said we want to borrow your votes, and we say, well, now we want to borrow them right back again. Thank you very much. And it's important for us to do that. And we do it by really applying, again, the very basic, simplest facts of any election campaign. An election campaign is about two things. It's about identifying who your voters are, and it's about getting them to vote. And that's what it's about. It's not, it's a lot of people think it's about a whole lot of other things, but it's really not. It's about knocking on doors and making phone calls and identifying who your vote is, and then making sure those people get to the polls. If I may say so, that's what President Obama and the Democratic Party did in the United States. Now, they talk about all the sophistication, they talk about all the technology that's used, and of course, great, we can use all the technology we can get our hands on in terms of being able to do that. But it comes back to this simple process of identifying voters and getting them to the polls. And in order to do that, we need people. We need people. And so having you here out today, campaigning the way you've been campaigning, is fantastic. But let me say on behalf of the campaign that next weekend and the weekend after, we need a few more people. So I'm asking you to go and talk to a friend. I know most of you have friends, because you're liberals. We all have a few friends. And seriously, get out and just talk to one more person. If you can bring one more person to the committee room next weekend, the place will be absolutely crammed, but the excitement will be there, and people will start to see it on the street. Finally, sometimes, I always say that just to make people feel better, finally, oh my God, thank goodness it's coming to an end. I can see the sunset. I can tell you a few stories about election campaigns, but I can tell you this one simple fact. I have been personally involved in 11 campaigns, federally and provincially, in my ridings in Ontario. And the first thing I would say is I've been in really good campaigns, and I've also been in not so good campaigns. And I can tell you today was that there's a good feeling on that street. This is not impossible, folks. I know everybody can look at the numbers and say, oh my God, you know, we're 20, 30 points behind. Look at the identification from before. You look at the last election. Forget all that. Every election is a new election. The people who are out there are not mad at us. They're not hostile to the Liberal Party. They want to be persuaded. They want to know we've got lots of signs of life. We've got presence. We've got something to say. And they can turn to us, and they can turn very quickly. And opinion changes. Our business is not simply about counting heads. It's also about turning heads. And the great thing we've got in Paul is we've got a candidate who knows how to persuade people. And he doesn't persuade people only because of his wonderful good looks. And he doesn't persuade people only because he has charisma. He persuades people because he knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to demographic change. in the Canadian economy. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to what's happening in the whole of the world economy. And he knows what he's talking about when he talks about sewage treatment, because he's looked it up, he's dealt with the science, he's understood, he's talking to people. And we had a wonderful conversation today with a woman who said, my husband's an engineer, and he thinks this is all crazy. And we said, really? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, would he like to talk about it? Anywhere. He'll talk to anybody about why this is crazy. He thinks this is crazy, and he doesn't want to have to spend $400 a year paying for it because he knows it's crazy. And so I can tell you, folks, this is an idea that has a ton of legs. And it's one of those things that can just turn elections on a dime. And we have to remember this and really focus on it, not lose sight of that focus. Our challenge is quite simple. It's to get roughly the same number of votes that Mr. Anderson used to get, which means there's a lot of folks who voted NDP the last 2 or 3 elections, and we've got to get them back. And there's a lot of folks who might have voted Conservative or not, but I suspect the Conservative vote is starting to just naturally decline. It isn't there the way it used to be. And so there's every reason for us to be optimistic. We have to work hard. We have to knock on doors. We have to identify that vote, and we've got to get them to the polls starting next week when the early voting starts. So thank you very much for making it possible for me and Arlene to be here. I'm going to be here tomorrow, but not canvassing so much. Arlene, who is a magical canvasser, and who I can say has been with me on every one of those 11 campaigns. And I know that most of the time people were not actually voting for me, they were voting for her. Well, you think I'm kidding. I'm kidding, eh? Well, believe me, it's true. It's really important that we do everything we can to get Paul in Parliament. Paul will make a huge difference in Parliament. Having him there, I can't tell you what a magical moment that's going to be when he comes and joins with us in Parliament. It's going to make an enormous difference. So please, do everything you can to make it happen. And I'm telling you, it can happen. It absolutely can happen. And I look forward to cheering with you on November the 26th. Thanks so much. It's great to be with you.